Hey everybody, where's Wally here? Look, today I've got a bit of a piecemeal video. I've got a few little things that have been niggling at the back of my brain, and I just wanted to do a little bit of tidy up. The first one is Adam, Level Earth Observer. Well, look, there's 4 little points here, 4 videos he's just done. Each one was a bit boring, and I didn't really want to bother making another video just to address them, but there was things that he's raised, and because he's a big old coward hiding in Coward's Castle, and sane people can't even correct or comment, I guess I'm going to have to make a video and hundreds of more people will see it.
Take a nighttime footage of the ISS and then run it through, changing the contrast and bits and pieces. And he, like I'm sort of thinking, is wondering, are they using some sort of holographic technology to sort of portray the ISS like how we see it, when actually maybe it's a plane with some kind of holographic technology that's projecting.
The ISS and holograms, well, I guess that was all nicely researched, Adam. But one little thing. The ISS shape is clearly visible when you use a P900, P1000, when it's silhouetted against the sun or the moon. And of course, a hologram can't make a silhouette against the moon or the sun, can it? Well, not unless you're in a Star Wars universe. Light cannot block light.
No wonder Elon was so sketchy and there was no real emotion. No wonder. This pantomime is just getting worse and worse and worse. And let's not forget, just before I go, what Elon is supposedly replacing. The Great American Shuttle. Of course, Elon is the first American space rocket, supposedly SpaceX, to go back to the space station. We're just going to have a little refresher of the last time American supposed rocketry went to the space station, when in fact, when we look at this official NASA footage, it's nothing more than a prop in a dark room with an Airfix model space shuttle attached to a bog roll inspired space station made with mosaic tiles, no doubt stuck on a stick in a dark room while the supposed globe Earth is projected on the right. Look at it. It's a fucking model. And that is supposedly where Elon sends his rockets, and these people are docking. Shocking. Original footage, and look at the state of it.
So next, Adam had a look at the Space DM2 launch, and he tried to do a takedown on it. We all saw you, Adam, skip straight back to your shuttle footage from 2010, just to make your Airfix bog roll claims yet again. Adam, do keep up. You're 10 years behind the 8 ball. Why didn't you use the latest ISS footage shot from DM2? Or was that just too good and ruined your fantasy, Adam? I hope you saw those footage of the moon from outside the window. That was brilliant. Oh, one more thing, Adam. Namibia. I think we all should just keep mentioning Namibia every time we talk to Adam. And thirdly, Adam, planes with engines on top. Well, you seem to be suggesting that this means that if a plane needs to work with a satellite, then those features will need to be on top of the plane. Well, guess where GPS antennas are located on the plane's fuselage, Adam?
I don't entirely know.
Correct, on top. Oh, and the ADS-B system that sends the plane's position to places like flight radar, flight aware, etc. Those antennas were on the underside of the plane to transmit to ground-based receivers. But that system had a limitation. Planes would drop off the coverage map at around 400 kilometers out to sea. Why was that, Adam? Earth curvature. Ooh, booyah. Now, just look at the Earth curve calculator for a plane that's at 10,000 meters up and has 10,000 meters of hidden at around, yes, you guessed it, 400 kilometers away. How about that? But it gets better, Adam. Currently, they are now putting ADS-B antennas on top of the planes. This is so the planes can send their data to the Ariane system, and the receivers for those are on the Iridium NEXT satellites, which are in orbit. And these are now providing the live flight tracking data from all across the oceans. See? And what's worse for you, Adam, is that the One More Orbit flight last year, when it flew over the South Pole, was tracked by Ariane system. Ooh, flying over the South Pole and tracked by satellites, double kill.
The ship itself doesn't use a satellite receiver. It sends out a narrow beam radio wave, and like I said, it rotates around at 360 degree, and the first 3 to come back, it takes at least 3 to give you a GPS location. And this is how it was done in 1980 when I was in the Navy, and that is how it's done today.
Okay, Rich, my old friend. Rich, you say that you used GPS in 1980 when you were in the Navy, yet only 4 GPS satellites were launched in 1978 and 2 later in 1980. So the most you could have been doing was some testing of the GPS system. The GPS was not even fully functional until 1993. So it seems like what you described sounds a little bit like LORAN or VLF Omega. Well, LORAN is a positioning system of a global nature. It's not the GPS system that we now have and know that is owned and operated by Space Force. And Rich, as for marine traffic system, works much the same as flight radar and flight aware. The ships, they receive GPS signals from GPS satellites. There's no data goes back to the GPS satellite. The instruments on the ship work out where it is in time and space, and then via AIS, or more likely a comms satellite link back, it transmits its ID and its tracking data back to marine traffic, where that information is then displayed in a way that smart people can understand.
So what kind of product that many people have we can use to test this theory out that satellites are not what we were told? Well, here's an example right here. This is a typical drone that uses GPS technology that is supposedly only available through satellites. I've got one like this, and it says it needs 8 satellites to be able to locate where it is and use the GPS function. In the city of Tempe, in a park with all kind of trees all around, buildings, houses, etc., the GPS on my drone has no issues at all finding 8 quote-unquote satellites. But what happens when we go to an open area? That should be even much easier for the drone to find satellites for GPS navigation, correct? Here in the Salton Sea, California, there's absolutely no overhead obstructions, yet the drone will not be able to find any satellites for GPS navigation. Question everything.
And as for the GPS drone that you got, as for your GPS on your cheapy drone, mate, you need to get a better one. Look, even Wolfie's daughter's got a better one than you.
What are you doing, darling?
Flying the drone.
Flying the drone? You've got it fully under control, haven't you? You know exactly what to do. Good job.
A little mini Maverick. And she absolutely rocks at using it too. She's so cute, that one. I wonder if Wolfette will be a pilot one day.
Very good. Now, why do you like me to push you high?
Because I'm going to be pilot.
Because you're going to be a pilot?
Yep, I think so. Well, okay, that's enough of these two clowns. One final thing, Adam, Namibia, when are you going to tell us what you wanted to say? I mean, you did talk a big game. You said there was going to be a lot of bad day for the Flat Earth Pantomime, for the NASA Pantomime Company. We're waiting, mate. We want to know what we can do. And Rich, I haven't really had much to do with you yet. But I tell you what, I can't wait for the ISS thing. That's going to be a lot of fun to see what, well, it's probably not going to be much of a challenge at all if your GPS knowledge is anything to go by.
So, where would the moon be there then? On a new moon? Curious how that would work on the heliocentric model on a new moon. Balloon's about 20 miles up. So that would be very interesting to see where the moon is on a new moon, when this balloon footage is showing a very local sun. Just curious where the moon would be during this new moon period where we can't see it. According to the heliocentric model, it would be below that sun. I don't entirely know exactly what's going on. this is talking about rockets hitting domes. This is not my footage, and I'm certainly not making any claims about rockets hitting domes or maps or anything. Not my claims. I just stick to demonstrable reality. And of course, if you play it, the noises change as it gets higher, which is interesting, but just suddenly stops very quickly. Again, making no claims here. I find that very interesting.
When the yo-yo masses are released, they start to unwind. Since they're getting further and further from the point of rotation, they're increasing the moment of inertia of the system. Once the end of the tethers is reached, they slingshot forward, absorbing the rest of the kinetic energy before they're released. The crucial parameters when you're designing something like this are the length of the tethers and the mass of the two weights. And actually, if you're going for a complete despin, the initial angular velocity doesn't matter.
But rocket launches, taking off, cameras on the rocket, cameras on the balloon, filming the rocket launch from a side angle, seeing how this thing moves, and does it slow down at certain elevation, getting a great nice side profile, bearing in mind we want this thing to just keep going into the heliocentric space forever and ever, being filmed or filming for us, and obviously filming from the balloons as far as possible. I know that's not going to happen.
System response looks good. 25 seconds in. R280 engine operating parameters look good. Now 35 seconds. Mach 1 Atlas 5 is now supersonic. Now 45 seconds in. R280 continuing to look good. Now passing through max Q. And engine throttling back up to 94% thrust. RD-180 engine operating parameters look good. Seeing good chamber pressure on all 5 SRBs, good symmetric burn. Just passing 1 minute now into flight. RD-180 continuing to look good. Also seeing good chamber pressure across all 5 SRBs. Engine now throttling down to 75% thrust as expected. Engine response looks good. Standing by for SRB burnout shortly. And we're seeing burnout on all 5 SRBs. Engine back up to full thrust. Standing by for SRB jettison. And we have good indication of jettison of all 5 solid rocket boosters. 1 minute 50 seconds into flight. Vehicle's gone to closed loop guidance. Now passing 2 minutes into flight. Atlas 5 is now 38 miles in altitude, 48 miles downrange distance, traveling at 4,700 miles per hour. 2 minutes 15 seconds into flight. RD-180 engine operating parameters continue to look good at full thrust. Vehicle body rates looking good. Just under 2 minutes now remaining in the boost phase of flight. Engine now throttling to maintain 2.5 G acceleration limit. Engine response and vehicle body rate response looks good. RCS spiral valve has been fired. Reaction control system is pressurizing to flight levels. Now coming up on 3 minutes into flight. RD-180 pump speeds and injector pressures continue to look good as it's maintaining that throttle limiting. 3 minutes 10 seconds in. Vehicle body rates continue to look good. Standing by for payload fairing jettison. fairing jettison. And CFLR jettison complete as well. Vehicle now throttling back up to 95% thrust. Engine response looks good. 3 minutes, 40 seconds in. And engine is now throttling to maintain 4.6G acceleration limit. Engine response looks good. Now passing 4 minutes into flight. Centaur's begun the boost phase chill down sequence. RD-180 engine continues to look good as it maintains that 4.6G throttle acceleration limit.
So, Antonio, guru of gurus, what do you think is happening here? How can the camera, Red's camera, be on the ground at sea level and in the dark, and yet when the rocket is, 100 kilometers up, it is suddenly in full sunlight, and that is plain for all to see that it is now in full sunlight. And that can also be backed up by the video feed coming back from the rocket, but I won't bother showing you that because you'll just laugh at it. But when you look at the feeds from south and from north and from directly behind, you can see that the rocket is now clearly up in the dawn sunlight. So how on a flat earth is that going to happen, Antonio? I'd love to hear how you'd explain that one.
There's a pat on the head for you, Wally.